Hello, everyone. This is Reginald Taylor from Answers of Hope, and we have another interesting Bible question. We have this question from the book of Matthew chapter 27, verses 52 and 53, which deals with people who were resurrected at the time that Jesus was resurrected. Reading from the book of Matthew chapter 27, verse 52 and 53, we find that the graves were open and many bodies of the saints which slept arose. And they came out of the graves after his resurrection and appeared in the holy city and appeared unto many. Now, many people wonder, who are these people that arose from the grave at the time that Jesus arose from the grave? And so many people will wonder if these are Old Testament prophets. But from the book of Acts chapter 2 and verse 34, it tells us that Peter says that David is still in his grave, that he has not arisen, that he's not gone to heaven, but that he is still in his grave. And so we understand that the Old Testament prophets weren't risen. In the book of Hebrews chapter 11, and it's in verses 39 through 40 that we find out that Abraham and Samuel and all the different worthies, those who are in the hall of faith, they have not seen the glories that were promised to them, but that they were still sleeping in the grave, awaiting the time where they would receive their reward. And so we understand that these were not the Old Testament prophets. And so many people wonder, if you read in the book of Revelation chapter 4 and 5, we understand that there are 24 elders that are in heaven. And we wonder if these people were people that were risen with Jesus, and they were the 24 elders. But if you read carefully Revelation chapter 4 and 5, we see in Revelation chapter 4 that Jesus has not actually come into heaven yet. This is a scene again right after the death and the crucifixion and then the resurrection, where Jesus, he was supposed to go and appear before the Father. And so Mary meets him at the grave, and Jesus tells him, "Don't touch me." Or actually in the Greek, it tells Mary not to detain him. So he's telling Mary not to detain him, but that he needs to ascend to the Father. Well, if you read Revelation chapter 4, you will see that the 24 elders and the angels and everybody's there around the throne room, but Jesus has not appeared. He doesn't appear until Revelation chapter 5. But the point is this, that the 24 elders are already there before Jesus appears in Revelation chapter 5. So these 24 elders are not these saints who arose. But if you understand that there is a special resurrection, we know that Elijah and that and Enoch, they were translated, and that Moses, he was resurrected because Moses and Elijah were seen at the transfiguration. That there was a special resurrection, that there's a special class of people who are first fruits of the resurrection, that they are the promise, that they are the future based upon the fact that Jesus would die and that he would rise again. And so we know that there are people who are risen up after Jesus' resurrection as a form of the first fruits. If we look in Ephesians chapter 4, I want you to go with me there quickly. Ephesians chapter 4, and we just have a few more minutes. We just have a minute or so. But in Ephesians chapter 4, it tells us in Ephesians chapter 4 and verse 8 that and where he said, when he ascended on high, he led captivity captive and gave gifts unto men. This is an allusion back to Psalms chapter 68, verse 18. And if you read that passage in its context, it gives you an understanding that this is the picture of the Lord who is coming back as a mighty conqueror, a mighty king who has gone to war, and now he's bringing back the spoils from war. Well, this allusion that Paul is pointing to in Ephesians, it points to Christ being that great conqueror who has suffered death, and now he's bringing back the spoils. He's bringing back the reward. He's bringing back the first fruits of the victory in the struggle with Satan and with sin. And now he's bringing back his reward, the redeemed. He's bringing back. Now, this is not the final resurrection, but this is just the first fruits, just a taste, just an example, just a sample of letting us know that the promise that God has made, it will be fulfilled. And so these people who were resurrected and they showed themselves, they were probably not Old Testament prophets, but they were probably Jews who were living around the time. It may have been John the Baptist. It may have been some other people that were prominent and well known in the community. They were resurrected as an example of the promise that God had given that he would arise from the grave and that he would conquer death and sin. And so understanding that these people